NSFW, men of Reddit, what's the greatest realization you've had during post-nut clarity? I should have waited, because this scene was better. Pre-nut, why this girl smell like toasted marshmallows? Post-nut, oh, that cigarette smoke. That my wife was letting me have a threesome with her BFF, because they wanted to have sex, and I was being bribed. I remember one time a while ago, my physics teacher gave me a take-home test to do. I'm not great at physics, and I tend to procrastinate, so it was like 3 AM, and I was passing the time with a nice nut. Afterwards I totally remembered the right way to solve the question, and finish the test. So now I can say, that blasting rope literally let me pass physics with a B. How much I actually love my wife. Alucard spelled backwards is Dracula. This entire thread can be summed up in a range of 3 different things. 1. This woman is manipulating me. 2. I don't want this at all. 3. I'm definitely in love. 4. Gotham, this Waluigi hentai is fantastic. 3 months after a breakup, my ex was trying to reconcile, and I was seriously considering it. I was seeing a guy, and the sex was great, but I knew he was way more serious than I was. I honestly didn't know what to do. After 6, he curls up next to me and says leave if you still love him. I would rather see you happy than possess you. Ask yourself if you could say the same thing about him. He was right, but I needed that insight to realize my ex was more about possessing me than actually being in love with me. I followed that wise, loving man across the country and never regretted it, not even after we eventually broke up. Wherever he is, I hope he's blissfully happy. Realize that all matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration, that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we are the imagination of ourselves. JK, that's a Bill Hicks quote. So with living in Germany and prostitution being legal and sort of affordable, roughly €100 per hour, I probably saved up thousands biking off. Every time the need arises, and I actually think, man, maybe this time I should actually go into a brothel. I crank one out and afterwards just think, good thing I didn't go through with that idea. I'm in a 100-degree Porto John, in a king desert, sitting next to my rifle, wearing body armor and a Kevlar helmet, getting heat stroke to get the stroke, because the US Army is king me. Besides that 7/10 on TripAdvisor, would combat Jack again. I'm in it for a few. That felt like a pregnancy nut. That sex was so good, I felt my balls send out semen team 6 to assassinate Osama bin Laden. I was right. The girl I just nutted to doesn't love me, will never love me, and in most cases, will never even know I exist. Also, nobody loves me, and now I'm late for work. This will probably be the last time we ever have sex. Why did I just have sex with this chick? I gotta get out of here. I should have used a condom too. She better not get pregnant, or have given me an STD. It's like changing back from a werewolf. Edit. Also, a week later it was I just did it again. What the is wrong with me? I gotta get out of here. Give me a minute, and I'll find out for you. Edit. Maybe when I get to my next college, I shouldn't sleep around. I mean, in theory, that would be fun, but in reality it's love that makes sex fun for me. Sleeping around would just be glorified king off, but with a lot more shame and risk for diseases. I really love and care for this other human being. Anyone? Or is everyone else just thinking of video games and how much they dislike the person they just had sex with? I'm a victim of sexual assault, and before the incident I was very easygoing with the ladies. Had a girl from come over every week or two. Mind you, I was like 15/16 at the time. So after the incident I thought going back to it after a little break was going to be enough to deal with it, but turns out sexual experiences with someone I don't really trust or have any emotional connection with triggers anxiety attacks that make me extremely nauseous and exhausted. Needless to say, I kicked her out after ming like 5 seconds in, puked all over the toilet, and never talked to her again. Okay, so I was in my garage and working on my bike. I can't drive a car yet, and I needed some form of transportation, and I could not figure out how to fix the broken muffler mount. My friend got me an 80cc engine for Christmas, and it was the biggest curse ever because I kept braking. I had put it onto my regular pedal bike, and it was the most fun thing I have ever ridden. Basically what happened was the muffler mount broke, like the boring of the screws broke, and I lost the muffler somewhere in the road. After working on it for what seems like hours, and still having no success, I decided to take a break to ease my mind. And once I reached post break it came to me. All I had to do was use steel wire and hose clamps to force the muffler in place, then rebore the screws and screw it in place. Because the screw boring broke in the first place, it was too weak to hold the muffler still. Well, surprisingly this worked perfectly, and I have had no more issues since. My ex wanted me to come over to have closure. Backstory: she's manipulative and uses sex to get what she wants a lot. Pre-nut: oh yeah, I'm gonna get it in with her one last time. Post: but immediately afterwards I literally looked at her and said, "You," and left. I'm not proud of any of this. Well, this is gonna come off cheesy, but when my wife and we're still dating we ked on New Year's Eve. After we finished bringing in the new year, I looked at her falling asleep, and in that post-nut clarity was the first time I realized she was the woman I wanted to marry. That life is meaningless. There is no purpose, no your way or my way, that life is a constant battle against relentlessly growing entropy, that everyone is playing a game to get whatever their small mind is aiming for, that this whole charade is like walking on an endless treadmill to feed our hunger, lust, greed, money or whatever one is after, that nothing really matters, yet you get back up and get on with the game, cause what else is there to do? I dated a girl for almost 3 years. Loyal and hardworking, but super immature. Her family drove me insane too. We very rarely did anything sexual, and when I say rarely I mean like twice a year. All she ever wanted to do was watch crappy movies. One night she was giving me a lazy hand job while we were watching a movie, and as soon as I came I was like, what am I doing in this? The next day I went to her house, told her I was done at the door, and left. Broke her heart, and I felt bad, because for her it was seemingly out of nowhere, but I just wasn't happy. She ended up going into my workplace raising hell, and telling everyone around me lies. She's since tried to contact me and reconcile, but good riddance after that. I got to thinking, why in Minecraft don't the end cities just explode into the void, since Minecraft doesn't have gravity to keep them down? But then I realized that the void isn't a vacuum. Since it's made of air blocks, that means the void isn't infinite, so there must be something beyond the world border that we don't know of which keeps the air pressure contained within the void. The void has walls that we don't know about. That I'd made a huge mistake by having sex with my friend of 10 years. I realized immediately after that I had sex with her because I was lonely and not because I'd decided I wanted a relationship with her. It was very selfish of me. Our friendship survived this, but it was uncomfortable for the both of us for a time. I don't know that I have a best, so I'll list some that come to mind. 1. That it's actually 3 AM. 2. That I've been masturbating for 2 hours. 3. That my windows were open. 4. I was watching the weirdest on the planet, and why is this on my screen, what the? 5. I'm a monster. You are not actually in charge of your body. There are certain urges that are impossible to overcome. For instance, the urge to have sex, the urge to reproduce. In post-nut clarity I often ask myself, why do I get so much excited by watching, and all they are just lumps of meat, but they make me crazy. Your brain knows stuff that you don't, and there is something else in your head that takes decisions for you. Your genes are selfish, and they want to survive for as long as they can, thus giving you unbelievable urge to have sex, so they could carry on as long as there are humans. I gotta get my together, dude. And so I did. I consider myself really lucky to be in a good place in life right now. My financials are in shambles, but I've got the best partner ever and a loving family to back me up if anything goes wrong. I was masturbating and realized I was dirty talking to myself. Kinda felt like sleep talking, but it was just word salad. It was king hilarious afterwards because I was just so horny I went brain dead. I plan to try and achieve that someday on tape. I was only in it for the sex. It becomes addicting at a point to get that rush and dopamine. The most we did it was 6 times in a day, and that made a realization for the both of us that we were just sexually attracted to each other. Something that lasted about 5 years just fizzled after that. Since then, I realized how depressed I was and changed things up to have healthier relationships. Taught myself to have more self-respect to myself and women. Since then I had only been with 2 women over a period of 3 years, but what I got out of those relationships is more of a healthy lifestyle, and in the end, feel better overall in mood. It's nice when you can find someone else that appreciates you for you. Why did I just ask this girl out? For context, I was chock-in the chicken, watching something generic, when this girl starts texting me lots of compliments. I'm not into her at all, but in my hormone-fueled blindness I would have cared just about anything. She kept complimenting me and then said she wished someone would go out with her. Without any thought, I said, how about me? As soon as I finished, I realized how much I really did not want to be with this girl. She wasn't my type at all, and everyone knew she was a screen door when it came to privacy. I immediately tried to find a way out, and eventually ended it 2 days later, because I didn't understand my own feelings well enough. That didn't stop me from getting emotionally manipulated for the rest of the year, but I definitely dodged a bullet. Apparently she also told her friends how we made out in the gym every day, when the closest we ever came physically was a hug. I have lots of stories of guilt trips and weird shenanigans this girl pulled, if anyone is interested. Everything turned out great though, because I haven't talked to her in a year, and the friend she told about me is my absolutely wonderful girlfriend, the light of my life. I love her to death, she's an angel. All I'm doing currently is just passing time. 10 years from now I will be wondering what the hell I was doing with my life. So my post-nut clarity made me sign up for piano lessons and a language course. I should see a doctor. I started getting intense migraines immediately after orgasm. Turns out I have some constricted veins in my brain that make me more prone to stroke, so I'm on blood thinners now. Really rare. You just spent 20 minutes purposefully going down a rabbit hole of Pornhub homemade videos to come across this video, and once you found it, you thought this was the one? Go wash your king hands and don't look at yourself in mirror. I don't wanna see your goddamn face. There's something wrong with you. Next night type same genre and proceed down the hole, taking a different route to an even nastier video. I posted about this yesterday, but a girl I've been seeing wants us to rent an Airbnb together this week, since we live kind of far away. I was initially for it, but boy am I glad I decided to off before I booked it. Because after I finished, I realized I still want to do it, because I actually have romantic feelings for this girl, and like her for more than just sex. Harder tongue kit. My ex was dancing to Thrift Shop to Macklemore and I realized 3 things. 1. I hated the song. 2. She was a horrible dancer. 3. I no longer wanted to be with her. It wasn't a fun thing to realize, but it got me to a better place, so good job post-nut clarity. As I pulled up my boxers I looked at her beautiful face dripping with makeup, detailed colorful tattoos, petite physique, expensive lingerie, and thought to myself, I can't stand you. You're superficial, self-centered, and give head. IDKY, I put you on a pedestal, you're not all that. As she turned and reached for her phone, last night came to mind. The girl from the bar may not have been as hot, but she was pretty and so sweet and a lot smarter. I need to stop wasting time with these little clones. I wonder what she's doing right now. Then I stared at her and smiled. She had taught me something about myself. The pants, shirt, and shoes came on, and all that was said was a coy "I'll be right back." That was 6 years ago, and the day I stopped hooking up with toxic, copy and paste women, and started looking somewhat past looks and into intellect, originality, and personality.